This is episode 158 with your host, Mark Segovia, alongside my co host, Andres. What's going on, Andres?
Sorry, pretty good. Happy to be here with you once again.
Mhm.
Man, a lot to talk about Dynamo wise. A lot of good stuff for a change, which is nice. But yeah, man, looking forward to it.
For sure, man. Obviously, I wasn't here last week, but my guy Andres and OSG held it down real well for you guys last week. A lot of good things came about. Obviously, from the Portland game, a home win, which is a rarity, a win overall, which is good as well. My guy Ponce continues to score, so a lot of good things to talk about. My guy here, very, very excited for the show today. Usually we see him on a little bit of an upset mood, but today he's full of cheer and joy. So hopefully we can keep it going, for more than just 1 week. But with that being said, guys, Andres, a home win versus Portland Timbers, a team that obviously is in their, they're fighting for seeding. They're already in the playoffs. They're just obviously fighting for seeding. A game that the Dynamo needed more, obviously way more than the Timbers, and for them to come out on the road. I mean, not on the road. It feels on the road at home to win 1-0 against the Portland Timber team. I mean, obviously, I have to give him a round of applause. Um, Ezekiel Ponce with the lone goal right before halftime. Nice little header off of the free kick from McGlynn, from the corner kick. I'm sorry. So obviously, you can see, man, when he gets service, he'll make it happen. And unfortunately, it seems to only be happening on these corner kicks and free kicks and stuff like that. We need more service to him on open play. But I mean, right now for this time period, we'll take him as we come, right, as it comes. Your thoughts on the game? Obviously, who you think the MVP of the game is, and just your thoughts overall. How do you feel? How are you feeling about the Dynamo's chances? Maybe creeping up here, with season only 3 games left in the season.
There's a lot to say, but I wanted to highlight a couple things heading into this game in particular.
Hmm.
First of all, to the people that actually care about Copa Tejas and Copa Tejas slowly building up to be a team
There you go.
competition. We're taking it home for the first time ever. So kudos to the Dynamo. We did better than FC Dallas and Austin, so that's good. If you have actually watched the latest Foxtrot game day for the Dynamo, check it out. We do have some footage from the tailgate. OSG and I were attended. It was a
Hmm.
blast as always. Just check it out if you haven't already. Of course, the last home game is gonna be in a couple weeks from now, so check out the tailgate. Go to that game. It's gonna be good. But I mean, heading into this game, of course, the first thing, the biggest thing that was on my mind is the fact that Houston have not won a home game since June. And first of all, is a insane, insane, insanely bad streak because
Yeah.
our home form I kind of highlighted in a few episodes already, but it's our worst home form in a season in the team's history, which is not good. Heading into this game, also Ben Olsen and Artur were suspended. Oh, Ben Olsen due to yellow card accumulation, and Artur was coming in with a red card in the previous game. Of course, late against Colorado, really dumb red card. And Juan Guerra stepped in as the acting head coach. So it was going to be a game that we're going to be highlighting Juan Guerra, my fellow Venezuelan, being in charge for the first time here. Even though we felt like it was going to be kind of like Ben Olsen's lineup from the get go, just
Hmm.
without Artur. And we were looking into that. And with the game itself, how it played out, especially in the first half, I thought Houston played pretty good. A lot of fans were very positive about the output in the first half. The second half obviously was a different story, but honestly, like if you talk to OSG and I during the game as it was going, we were left with a pretty good, you could say, like a pretty positive experience for the most part because there were definitely things here and there during the game that were that were like Dynamo, here it comes, here it comes. Second half, three posts. I know how it's gonna go, but
Yeah.
like overall, the win's the win, and we can definitely expand a little bit more to the game if you want.
Any thoughts on the debut for Diade?
The alias Tamaseku, it he came in very late into the game. I feel like it was like
Hmm.
unfair to give him an assessment because he didn't see like a lot of minutes.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely glad he made his debut, and I'm definitely glad to have him here. But I prefer to have him like come into the game during the second half. Maybe I don't know if it's acclimated to the team yet, and I definitely get if he's not seeing like enough minutes or in the conversation to earn a start. Obviously, the midfield is crowded as it is, so it's gonna be very difficult for him. But I'm glad to have him here, and I look forward to seeing him play some more.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, man. Unfortunately I had a commitment, so I didn't really get to watch the game too much. To as far as it during live, But obviously I got the notification when they went up 1-0, and then obviously I saw the highlight of the goal and things of that nature. So I was obviously excited and happy to see that. And especially for someone like Ezekiel Ponce, who obviously has had who I feel has gotten a lot of the unfair. He's been unfairly I guess prosecuted, for the fact that obviously he is our highest paid player. We spend a lot of money on him, and he's not scoring like how we feel he should be scoring. And obviously, you know, 10 goals, he got to double digits. Congratulations to him. It's a good little feat, but obviously you expect a lot more. And I think that he's capable of scoring a lot more. Like I've mentioned here prior, many shows ago and stuff like that. That I do think he has the capabilities of being a top goal scorer in MLS for the Dynamo, being one of those guys that score anywhere between 18 to 25 goals if he has the right people, supplying him the ball to, give him the opportunity to make to score the ball. And I think it's going to be one of the big things when this offseason comes, as far as one of the big objectives that the front office has to get accomplished, as far as finding a playmaker and finding somebody who can distribute the ball and serve the ball up to Ponce on the platter to, alleviate all the defense being on him, and and obviously giving him a better opportunity to score the ball. But obviously that's looking ahead. But yeah, man, I'm happy. I'm glad. Obviously, you know we were. I remember when we first talked about the last couple of weeks. That we got to look at this like finals. Each game is a final. And this past week, obviously, them winning it, it's a good look. And with 3 games left to go, it's 3 more finals to go, and we're right in the thick of it. I mean, with all the craziness, all the ups and downs, all the injuries, all the whatever, to be 3 games away from the season ending and still have an opportunity to make a playoff run. I mean, I mean, I don't know if it just shows the how close and how evenly par MLS teams are, or or what, or maybe it's just too easy to make it to the playoffs, and the fact that we're struggling it kind of shows something, right? But I mean, with that being said, at the end of the day, we have an opportunity, and if you have an opportunity, it ain't over to the fat lady sings, like they say.
Yeah,
So and that fat lady still ain't sung. So so we'll keep it going that way, and hopefully, like I said, coming up the next week when we talk, well, this upcoming week against Nashville, when we talk about it later on in the show, we'll have a good result and all that good stuff. But yeah, man, just I mean, you know, um, obviously one of the big things was Arthur, our captain, being gone because of the red card. Ben Olsen being gone because of that suspension as well. Your thought. You mentioned Juan Luis Guerra, who obviously is one of the coaches that we talked about possibly taking over for Olsen if Olsen had to be let go earlier in the season. As far as on the interim basis, and obviously he showcased. I think he comes with a different type of notion. Obviously, he is going to follow a little bit of Ben's outline, because Ben is still the head coach, and he is a soldier on his front. So I mean, but did you anything about Juan Luis Guerra and the way he coached the game, or the way he asserted himself into the game with with the players and his substitutes and stuff like that, that you noticed, that you liked, or that you enjoyed, or that you could possibly see, be like, man, he might be a good candidate if we have another situation like this in the future, where we might be looking into having him having an interim basis coach available for us.
Yeah, to start with on field performance and some of the players, of course, the one thing that we had to sort out was the fact that Artur was going to be gone for that game.
Mm-hmm.
And granted, Artur is not having his best year with Dynamo, coming out of an MVP season last year. But in this game, it was kind of evident that Urso was going to be stepping in as the replacement for him. And you could even say that Urso had his best game for the Dynamo yet.
Mm-hmm.
Like just playing like the entire game, just locking it down. I really like what I saw from Urso. Like defensively speaking, he was just containing as much as possible. Even though Portland was able to get through a couple of chances here and there, especially in the second half, Urso did the job in the first half and and was able to lock in, like building up the plays. He was kind of like a hit or miss, but overall, like he did his job. He covered defensively in a dangerous team in Portland,
Yeah.
and I liked it. Going back to Juan Guerra, I'm not saying it because he's Venezuelan or like a compatriot, but like I have encouraged you to listen to the post game press conference in the last Voxer game day if you haven't already. But I mean he's a he's a great coach. Like he's an
Yeah.
amazing coach. Obviously you could say because he won the USL championship in
Mm-hmm.
his first year with
The
Phoenix
Phoenix.
Rising, but coming into Houston like just a few seasons ago, like you have some high expectations for him because he was
Yeah.
coming into the coaching staff already as an assistant coach, and obviously having him and Katie Bundy and the coaching staff, we have plenty of options if Venosa were to go. We do have coaches with significant experience, not just in USL level, but MLS Pro. Obviously, Kenny Bundy's being one of them, but yeah, just listen to the press conference, and obviously with the way the season has turned out, he understands what the team is going through. Like he understands the where the team is sitting at, and like he provides all those answers. And you compare the press conferences between Benosa and Juan Guerra. Like Juan Guerra, like speaks softly. Like he's just very honest about things. How he understands the situation that they're at and what they have to do. And obviously, you could say it to my face because like I've been very negative about how the season has turned out for Houston. I've been like blasting the team, but here, like they understand what the situation is. They understand what they have to do. At the end of the day, like the season did not turn out to be what I was hoping for.
For sure.
They still have a chance of playoffs, which obviously they could have done a better job at doing this year. But at the same time, like they're working towards a goal of getting back to the playoffs, and they're gonna do it by any means necessary. And the way that Juan spoke about it in the press conference, as well as answering everybody's questions and his thoughts on the game, it was pretty good. And
Yeah.
I'm definitely 100% Juan Guerra as a head coach if the opportunity arises in the future. So I'm looking
Yeah.
forward to it
I,
if that
I,
happens.
Yeah, I think he's one of those young coaches that are one to look forward to in the future, whether it be an opportunity here in Houston or somewhere else. Obviously, I think he, with his experience as far as being a USL head coach and winning a championship in that league, obviously it's another notch on his belt, and obviously him being one of the top assistants on an MLS roster as well, and then depending on how successful the Dynamo are doing his tenure as an assistant goes, obviously teams will start picking off coaches from staffs that they've deemed successful, because they want to bring that success over to their clubs, So whether or not he has that opportunity here in Houston or somewhere else, obviously I think Juan Guerra has a lot of great attributes, and he showed it. Obviously, he showed it off this past week, uh, coaching for Olsen. And as far as the press conference, because I've heard a lot. I've heard a lot about the press conference and stuff like that. How it was a different. It felt like a different environment. It felt like a different, just just different, And obviously one can pertain it to the fact that obviously he doesn't have the pressures that Olsen does, right? He's just entering, he's just coaching that one game, whatever. He knows his role is going to go back to what it was as soon as that game was over, and then obviously he's going to go back to doing the role that he's been doing all season. But obviously it's just I get it. Like I sometimes sometimes in all sports for coaches, right? Press conferences, especially during a season where the season hasn't really gone the way you want it, and it's been a difficult season, and you know what's going on that's wrong. But I mean, but obviously when you go into answering the questions that the media have, there's only so much you can give up, right? You can't really go in there disrespecting the players or anything like that, or blaming somebody or whatever. This is that. No matter how much you can realistically tell that somebody's fault, you as a coach, you're the general. You can't just throw soldiers underneath the bus like that, right? And I get it, but I think there's a different approach as far as being not being so, I guess, unappealing, because at the end of the day, these journalists or podcasters or whoever's sitting there in that meeting room, are there because they want to know about the club. The fans want to know what's going on. They want a little bit of an inside scoop, and the fans pay money. They pay money to go sit in the stadium during these hot ass summer days, and unfortunately for this season, watch this sorry brand of football that we've been given this season. And they have questions and they want to know, and that's why people there are asking kind of these kind of questions. And like I said, I don't expect you to give us the full laid out detailed answer, but I mean, but at least have the common decency and respect to answer the question, in a respectable manner where you're not just like brushing the person who's asking the question off. So that's, I mean, obviously that's always a good look when a coach or a manager can approach those press conferences and be on even keel with the reporters and be respectful towards each other, because I mean at the end of the day we're all there trying to do a job, find answers to what's going on with the club and stuff like that. So, but with that being said, I mean, obviously these next couple of weeks, it's going to be a lot of scoreboard watching.
Yeah.
It's crazy how, and I was looking ahead, as far as like obviously the games coming up this week and in the next 2 weeks, obviously, and it's crazy how many games that the teams basically we had there's five teams with three spots open and the Western Conference as far as points goes, right? And it's crazy how many games those five teams play against each other in to really, 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 like, obviously they're playing other clubs in the kind of Western Conference, but I mean, but like I said, these clubs are points separated from each other. FC Dallas and who's in that ninth spot right now is only 1 point ahead of the Dynamo, but they do have a game in hand. Sorry, let me look at this table real quick.
I
Uh,
do have some of the info, and I can definitely help you go through it when you
yeah.
look at your stuff. But basically, just to give you like the outlook into
Mhm.
the playoff picture, at least for the Western Conference. There's only five playoff spots available. Three of those are essentially the ones that directly qualify to the next stage of the playoffs without
Mhm.
having to do the play-in, because the play-in gives us two more spots, which in total will be five. But
But
yeah, pretty
realistically
much.
speaking, for the Dynamo,
Yeah,
yeah, that's
of
that's that's,
course.
that's what I meant.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah.
so with that,
But
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
I'm sorry, man. So with that being said, like one of the big games this weekend is going to be the Portland FC Dallas game. And the thing I was like I mentioned, with Dallas having a game in hand and them only being a point ahead of us, and obviously the fact that we just got a win over Portland, it's always it's a nice feather in our cap as well. So it's one of those things where, like, we're kind of, and scoreboard watching becomes hard, because now you start rooting for teams who you normally don't root for and things of that nature, whatever, and then you obviously got San Jose and RSL who are right behind you as well, and you got those teams playing against, San Diego and the other clubs, and then Colorado playing against Minnesota as well. It's one of it's games that obviously you they're picking each other apart while you're on the other side playing against Nashville and against an Eastern Conference team where obviously the only thing that matters there for you is to get points. You know, you have to get points. I mean, obviously Nashville, they're in the thick of it. They have a duel and Surridge and how do you say his last name? Mukhtar.
Hande Mukhtar.
Yeah, Mukhtar that are just crazy in scoring goals. I mean, those and between those guys, between those two guys, there's 36 goals between those two. Between the whole Dynamo team, there's 40 goals. So I mean, like, just that just goes to show the high offensive power that those two have. And then you have Andy Naraja, who we're all familiar with because he's a Honduran national, that has really, 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 really just assisted the ball really well to those guys. He's double digit assist. And he's just putting that ball on that platter for those two guys, and they're putting the ball behind in the back of the net. So I mean, it's going to be a lot of scoreboard watching, but obviously the first things first is the Dynamo have to go up to Nashville, you know, and Nashville. That I heard I hear that stadium gets really packed. It's sold out and it's full of ruckus and stuff like that, which I don't, which I fully expect. Chick-fil-A, what's going on, bud? Dale, 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 Dynamo. Um, so I expect a lot. I expect a hostile environment, but your thoughts on the game, man? I mean, we got a couple of people from the Surge out there going to Nashville, hopefully trying to bring back a dub. And shout out to those guys from the Surge. Hopefully you do bring back that W. But your thoughts on this weekend's game against Nashville, man, and Sam Surridge and Hani Mukhtar, a former MVP of the league.
There's a lot of things about that game. Just going back to the playoff scenarios, there's a couple things going for both Dynamo and Nashville. So, of
Hmm.
course, for us, it's a huge game that could potentially define the season because, like you said, we are in 10th place. We do have 36 points with 31 games played. And FC Dallas currently occupying the last spot of the playoffs with 37 points. They do have a game in hand over us. So that's extremely concerning because they kind of have like a control of their own destiny right now. And the next team above them, of course, being Colorado, 8th place with 39 points. We are 3 points away from Colorado, 1 point away from FC Dallas. And of course, it's good that we are pretty close to them. But the bad news is, obviously, the score watching comes into play here, being the fact that San Jose is right behind us with 35 points, and right behind us is RSL with 34 points. And there's barely any room for us to make any errors here because we have to go into Nashville and get a result. Obviously, a win is going to be way more difficult against Nashville
Yeah.
because they're going to be looking for their own result, and they are contesting in playoffs still, but they can clinch playoffs in the Eastern Conference with a win against Houston. So they're gonna
Yeah.
go out there. They're gonna go out to kill us. They're gonna go out to get that win. Like they cannot afford a draw. Well, they technically can because they still have a few more games, but they want to clinch now. If they
But
want
I
to clinch
think,
it now,
yeah,
yeah. What
for
I want to say?
sure. But I think the one thing that kind of works towards us, I guess, and like I said, maybe not, maybe I'm just looking a little over this, is that all those clubs that you mentioned, uh, Colorado, Dallas, San Jose, RSL, they're all playing against Western Conference foes, right? So like, and a lot of them, like I said, are playing against each other. So it kind of works out in our way, especially if we get some kind of pointage, right? Whereas, you know, we're playing against an Eastern Conference foe, so it's not really like, like, oh man, we if we lose, it's a big dagger to us, right? I mean, obviously this late in the game, any kind of loss is a big dagger, but obviously if Minnesota loses to Colorado, or if Salt Lake loses to Austin, or if, like, especially the Portland Dallas game. To be honest, any kind of result in that game what helps us out immensely. As far as trying to catch one of those two teams, man, and and so on and so on. So it's like these other guys are fighting against each other in the Western Conference for positioning while we're in the Eastern Conference. And I think that's, like I said, it's a big opportunity for us, where if we can come out with a W. I know it's a tall mountain to ask. But at the end of the day, you know this is the position that the team is placed in, right? And if you're gonna do it, you're gonna do it, and you're gonna have to do it against tough teams like this, against Nashville and things like that. And you got to take off, you got to take opportunity, you got to take advantage of the opportunity at hand, and and see it as like you're not going against a Western Conference foe, so it's not a big blow if you tie or lose. But at the end of the day, it can be a huge gain if you win, because you know that, and the other on the scoreboard, the other clubs, depending on who loses or who wins, it's going to help you regardless. So
Yeah, and going back to the game, it's gonna be insanely difficult to get a
yeah.
result here. And we're looking at some of the, well, two of the most exciting offensive players in the league.
Hmm.
One of them right now being red hot Sam Surridge, a third in the league in goals right now. I think he has 21, if I'm
Yeah,
not
21
mistaken.
goals,
21 goals for Nashville. Right
16
behind,
for.
well, three from Lionel Messi, by the way. So,
Yeah, yeah.
not that just living out there, but uh, obviously we have to deal with him. And Hani Mukhtar, former MLS MVP, like still doing his thing with Nashville. It's gonna be a game that Houston has to show out defensively, and if they want to get a result out of Nashville, I feel like offensively speaking, they have to get that energy from the San Diego game a few months ago. That because that's the type of game that they have to play. Like if it's not like a straight defensive performance they have to seek, they have to go out and get a chaotic result, because I feel like that's probably one of the two chances they have in this game.
Yeah, this has to be one of those fluky games that we saw from time to time, like like you mentioned, the San Diego game, or like the New York City FC game, or one of those games that we're like, what did we just watch here? It's I mean, and like I said, I mean, they're capable. Excuse me, they're capable, and we know they're capable. So can they do it one more time? Against this tough national team? Because if they're able to, I mean, I'm not trying to oversee and disrespect the last two teams that we're playing against, but I mean, teams that are a little bit more not pot committed, because I mean, you got Sporting Kansas City, who is probably not going to make the playoffs, and they're probably going to just be looking to play the role of spoiler. And I think, and I don't remember who the last team we play is. Um,
Sporting
uh,
KC,
Sporting Kansas. No, no,
they're
no.
disqualified.
And I'm sorry, Jesus, this thing, and San
Portland,
Diego. So
yeah, San
yeah,
Diego, yeah.
yeah, San Diego. So I mean, obviously we still have one really difficult opponent, and one in Sporting Kansas City, who obviously we have a rivalry with those guys, and they would love nothing more than to ruin it for us if they possibly can. But I mean, like I said, three finals. When you go into finals, you're playing the best possible opponent, and with Nashville, you're playing against guys who know how to put the ball in the back of the net, and they've done it very frequently, and they're ready to. Like you said, they're fighting for their own positioning in the Eastern Conference, and they want to make sure that they give themselves the best opportunity to compete in the Eastern Conference, because that Eastern Conference is very tough with obviously with teams like Philadelphia and Miami and Cincinnati and all that good stuff. But I mean, they're not. I mean, they're. I mean, they look to be away from the play-in spots. But I mean, but like I said, you never know. But I mean, but right now they sit on seventh, so they're not a home team. But I mean, with the win, I mean, look, they're only 5 points away from Miami at this time. But obviously, Miami has all those games in hand. But I mean, let's say Charlotte, they're only 3 points away from Charlotte. You know, and like I said, they're playing for their own positioning as well. They want to have home. They want to take advantage of the home field advantage that they have at that stadium. So they're looking forward to making sure that they can pounce on a weaker team like the Dynamo and make sure that they secure the W at home and give themselves a better opportunity in the Eastern Conference. So we'll see. We'll see what happens, man. It's a tough situation, I mean, but it is what it is. What can we say? I'm gonna have to ask you, man, your thoughts, and then obviously your prediction for the game.
Man, it's gonna be an intense game. Uh, I don't know if it's gonna be fluky or not. It's definitely uh, it could it could it could be one. It could also
It
be the
could be
game
one.
that Nashville like brings in their A game out and beat us. But the optimistic side of me, the optimistic side that is is Dynamo forever,
Hmm.
never say die kind of thing. I do have like a 2-2 score line only because I feel like it's gonna turn out to be a little bit chaotic,
Yeah.
and either I see it that way or I see us losing. So
But I
that's how
mean,
I
but
see
like,
it.
but see, look, even then, a tie does not kill us, right? Like
No, not
that's
yet.
the benefit of playing this Eastern Conference foe because, like I said, Portland beats FC Dallas. We're tied with them, right? They might have the game in hand, but at the moment with the points, we're tied. If they end up in a tie, hey, they're a point ahead still, so you're not losing any ground there or anything like that. Like I said, and like I said, I mean the thing that like obviously you're expecting San Diego to beat up on San Jose, and you're expecting Minnesota to beat up on Colorado. So I mean, you never know what can happen with those situations. I mean, it's a lot of scoreboard watching, a lot of hoping, but at the end of the
Yep.
day, that's that when you get to this part of the season and you're in the midst of trying to fight for one of the last spots available for playoffs, that's what we're gonna have to end up doing. And we're gonna have to we have to get some help from other games as well to make this happen. So at the end of the day, I think if at the very least they can collect a point, like you feel like they can, then I think it's a great outcome for them. Not obviously it makes it a lot more difficult as far as the San Diego and the Sporting Kansas City games basically turn out to be must wins. But I mean, but obviously you come to that bridge when you come to it. The thing is prolonging it and making sure you still have an opportunity when next week still comes out. But the worst case scenario here can be if you lose the match and then let's say Frisco wins, and then they get ahead even further as far as the points go with them having the game in hand. That's what you don't want.
Yep.
That's the
Yep.
worst
Yep.
case scenario. That's not what you want. So as long as you can prolong it and let next week mean something for us, then then obviously we can take that up. We'll take that into hand, and we'll take whatever result gets us to next week when to make it a meaningful game. So you think it's gonna be a 2-2 tie?
Yes.
Who scores?
I'm gonna say Ponce, and I'm gonna say Lawrence and Ali.
And Ali, man, and Ali needs to score a goal. I feel,
He needs
I
to
feel
score. He
he needs.
almost got. I think you saw the highlight, but he almost got an insane goal against Portland, like early in the first half. Like that was gonna
Yeah,
be insane. Yeah.
yeah. But I feel like he's one of those players that he needs to put that ball in the back of the net. I think just to bring him more confidence and stuff like that. And to be honest, like if somehow the Dynamo do manage to make the playoffs, we need we need we need more offensive power. So and Nolly is one of those players that I really need to see put the ball in the back of the net. And then obviously Ponce, man. I'm like I mentioned earlier in the show. I'm so happy to see him scoring. You know, might be a little too late. Might be a tad little bit too late, depending on how the season outcome comes out. But I mean, but at the end of the day, man, put the ball in the back of the net. That's all we ask from you. So,
Yep.
um, man, I don't know, man. I
I know,
feel,
right? It's weird.
yeah, I can see this be so disastrous, like it's not even funny.
Yep.
But like a part of me feels like, man, look, we got Shevchenko back. He played the full 90 against Timber. That Eric he played the full 90. He's back. Hopefully, we're gonna have Arthur back. Obviously we mentioned it hasn't been his best season, but but we know what kind of player Arthur can be. I think like I said, the whole team is understanding of what's needed and what's at stake. So I think that they're gonna go out there and represent and give it their all. And if I feel that they're gonna give it their all, I think this is gonna be one of those surprise, like, oh, what the hell? What kind of, like, oh, where's this Dynamo team been all year?
Yeah, like it's obviously like I said earlier, we've been spending almost the entire year complaining about how the season has turned out and the things that could have
Yeah,
been much better to just avoid being in this situation.
I want.
Because,
Yeah,
like, look, like we can also say how the playoffs are formatted. That the fact that we still have a chance is kind of silly.
yeah,
Because
yeah.
if you saw us play the entire year, it kind of feels like we shouldn't be here. But
Nah,
the reality is that this is how the league is formed. This is how the competition is set.
yeah.
Um,
I mean, look.
and
I mean, look.
yeah,
I'll agree with you fully on that. Obviously, it might look a little silly, the fact that we still have an opportunity. But if the opportunity is presented, you gotta take advantage of it.
yeah, and
Um,
the
eh,
and the players and the coaching staff and the fans kind of have to roll with it. But more than anything, the ones that have to believe more than anything, like beyond the fans, is the players and the coaching staff, because they're the team that go out to the field. They're the team that represent the badge,
yeah,
the jersey, the city. Uh, they have they have to get the result now. Like the past is
yeah.
of the past, and what matters is now.
At the end of the day, if like I said, if the Dynamo were to make the playoffs, and let's say they make a little bit of a run or a little bit of noise in the playoffs, it starts to erase a lot of the stuff that happened in the regular season. So I mean, we'll see what happens. But let's see. I want to be optimistic because I want to have a fun show next show, because I want to make sure that we're already crossing the T's and dotting the I's. I want to make sure that that fat lady's still quiet. So I'm gonna say 3-1 Dynamo. I know it sounds
Damn,
crazy.
three
I
one
know, I know, I know,
Dynamo.
I know, I know, I
That's gonna
know,
be insane if that
I know.
happens.
But I'm gonna say 3-1 Dynamo, and because my guys from the Surge are out there, so shout out to those
Shout out to the
guys out
search,
there.
yeah.
Let's I want those guys to be loud and proud, and I want the Apple telecast to shout them out as well. Hopefully, and hopefully they can bring back that W, whether if it's 3-1 or 1-0 or whatever. As long as they bring back that W, that's all that matters to me. But yeah, I'm gonna go off the hinges here, and I'm gonna say 3-1 Dynamo. Just because, like I said, I really, really, really want to have a good, exciting show next week. I don't want to be down and out, you know, thinking that, damn, they put the final nail on the coffin. So I want to be optimistic. So let's do it, Dynamo. 3-1.
Let's go orange.
Let's go orange for sure. And I'm gonna go with Ponce brace and a linger goal.
God
I
damn.
want to see I want to see Ponce keep shutting the haters down and keep shutting them up, whatever, and him coming in, you know, as as that superhero at the end, um, and saving the season for us, however possible. So I'm gonna be asking for that Music City Miracle from you know
Everyone's gonna ask for it.
yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. But yeah, but I mean, obviously, along with this game, it's three finals, three games that we mentioned. Three. I know I've asked you every time I've been on the show, man. Just percentage wise, how do you feel about, like, the Dynamo's chances to make the playoffs? And and obviously the last couple of times I haven't been on, but I think that if I recall correctly, the last time when I spoke to you and I asked you, you were around like 6.5%. And I think that was before the Colorado loss and before the Portland win. So,
Yeah.
um, has it gone up since then?
I mean, only slightly because I'm on big hopium right now. But I'd probably say still 10% because
Hey,
we're still
10%, double digits.
we're still we're still out of the playoff picture,
Yeah,
and more than anything, we are relying on the team getting performances that like mostly away because we do have only one more home game, and it's gonna be against San Diego. It's gonna be a tough
Yeah,
game, but we have to focus against Nashville now. It's a game that they have to get a result. There's no denying it, and it can still things can definitely change depending on outside results because you have to watch the scoreboard for the next few weeks, which
yeah.
sucks. But there's a reality now, so I'm still like 10% confident they can make it, but
Mm.
I gotta see it. I've been burned so many times this year.
Yeah, for sure. I don't. I wasn't expecting nothing crazy like you jumping up crazy high or anything like that. But hey, double digits, and 10%. Sounds about right. And obviously I do expect that maybe for it to go higher, especially if the Dynamo are able to pull off this win against Nashville. But like I said, obviously, hey, we could Dynamo could win in Nashville, but like I said, maybe the games that we need to go in our favor don't go in our favor on the scoreboard, and and that's the way we end up being eliminated because we're relying on other teams' results to get us through, and that's the unfortunate thing about putting ourselves in the hole that we're in right now. We can come out with the positive results and the wins and stuff like that, but if we're not getting the help in the other games that we need to jump over the teams that are in the ninth and eighth position to get in those spots, then obviously we can't make it. But here's hoping to that we do, and all that good stuff. Aside obviously I know you're going to be focused on the Dynamo Nashville, but speaking of scoreboard watching, and I think that's been the theme of this show, scoreboard watching. What's the other game you're going to be looking at as far as like real closely aside from the Dynamo game? That especially with all those other games having so much implication as far as like helping the Dynamo or not helping the Dynamo make the playoffs.
Well, the big one you kind of just said it. Portland FC Dallas is going to be the one that we're going to be looking at the most. Of
Hmm.
course, RSL hosting Austin FC is going to be a one that we can watch because Austin do are above Portland, even though it might just be unattainable right now. RSL are still 2 points away from us,
Yeah,
so it will be ideal if Austin tie RSL or uh, sorry OSG. But if Austin beats RSL, that helps us in a way because it takes points off the table
yeah.
uh, for for RSL,
RSL. Hmm.
and they also have that game in hand over us, so that will be pretty good.
Yeah, for
But
sure.
yeah, that one, and you kind of just mentioned it as well. San Diego hosting San Jose Earthquakes. Obviously, there's no way we'll carry San Diego at this point, but if San Diego beats San Jose, it will be a massive help for us.
Yeah, it pushes them back.
And yeah, and let's see as well because
The Colorado
yeah,
Minnesota game is another game that should be very interesting. Obviously, Minnesota is out of our reach, but Colorado is sitting in that eighth spot, and
yeah, 3 points
obviously
away
they're
from us. Yeah,
they're 3 points away from us. So if Minnesota can keep Colorado on those 39 points, and if, like I said, if we're somehow managed to pull out the win against Nashville, we'll be on even keel as far as points go. So that'll be a good game to watch. And Minnesota, like I said, Minnesota has a lot to play for as well as far as seeding goes, and one them wanting to be a host a playoff round as well. So like I said, it's going to be a lot of flipping around on the Apple TV app this weekend. Obviously, because it's just what it is. I mean, you want to make sure that obviously that the Dynamo are doing what they need to do, but that the other matches are going the way that you want it to go. Do you expect every match to go the way you want it to go? No, but at least you hope that you have enough of them to go your way to help propel you into one of those spots. But like I said, all that means nothing if the Dynamo can't find a way to get a point, at least from Nashville. So I don't know, man. It's tough. It's tough. Like you feel helpless. You feel kind of helpless on this quest because there was at a certain point, like I said, like think about it, the Colorado game, the one that they lost in the last minute 2-1. That point right there by itself could have us, could have really helped us, and maybe we don't need a point here, you know, for against Nashville, whatever. We can keep it rolling, but I mean, but just that's just been the year that we've been having, and giving up leads late in the games, turning ties into losses, turning wins into ties, and that's the unfortunate thing that we've as a club this season has been kind of the norm. And then you throw on top of the fact that we can't defend home for nothing. You threw it out earlier. I mean, the first win since what? Since when? June?
June. Yep.
That's crazy, man. That's unheard of. That's three
Yep.
months.
All the way
That's
September. Yeah, man. Like
that's 3 months, man. Without a home win, like that's crazy to me. And like I said, even with all that being said, still an opportunity to do something. Um, is there anything else that you want to mention that before that I've forgotten to mention, or anything else that you want to throw out there? Also, you know what? Before I give you that, you did mention Copa Tejas earlier in the show. Well, obviously, shout out to the Dynamo for winning that for the first time ever in club history. Shout out to the supporter groups, because obviously it's a supporter group led trophy that has been created by those guys. And shout out to the representatives of the supporter groups that were on the pitch for the game to collect that trophy for the Dynamo. So shout out to those guys.
yeah, honestly, the last thing I can say is first of all, shout out to Copa Tejas again. Like the guys from the Copa Tejas, the guys that organize it independently.
Hmm.
Like they travel in between games for not just Houston, but in between Dallas and Austin, which massive shouts to them whenever those two teams play each other. Uh, the other thing I wanted to say is that it's funny how the year has been turning out for all three teams, because the Dynamo are not the ones also fighting for a playoff spot, because the Dash and those are also fighting for playoff spots. They are still out of the playoff picture, but they still have a mathematical chance of qualifying. And
Yeah.
obviously, if you want to check out that dispatch for a conversation like between OSG and I about our chances and what needs to happen this week, and you can check out our latest episode this week. But man, those is the team that are in real trouble heading into the last week
Mm.
of the season, because they just played their second to last game this past weekend, which they won against Portland Timbers 2, and they have to wait now 2 weeks to not just find out the other results, but also play the last game of the season,
Oh
because
wow.
they have to travel to Tacoma Defiance to play their last game for decision day in the Mustangs Pro, and they are currently 2 points away from the playoff line. But depending on the results from the outside games this week and next week, it can affect things. And more than anything, what needs to happen is that the Dynamo will need to get a win more than anything, because
Hmm.
if it happens to go to a shootout and a shootout win with 2 points, I don't think it's feasible. But then again, it depends on what happen the results this weekend and next week when the
Yeah.
Dynamo play when those play. So man, it's insane. Like all three teams battling for a playoff spot right now. Score watching everywhere. Like
Yeah.
all the anxiety is insane.
No, for
If
sure,
you
for
follow all
sure.
three teams, yeah.
No, for sure, for sure. And shout out to OSG, and obviously to you and all the other guys, for following the Dash and Dino Dose and being in those and being at those stadiums and stuff like that. And checking out those games live and following everything that's going on with those clubs respectfully. Question, I guess for people like who don't follow the Dash that quit. This would be, if the Dash make it, this would be their first time ever making the playoffs, right?
It will be the second time
Second time,
because
okay.
they qualified a couple of seasons ago for the first time ever, but it will
Okay.
be big because
Yeah, for sure.
it's a first year for Fabrizio Contral, the new head coach,
For
and
sure.
the new front office led by Angela Hughes Mangano, which is essentially just the GM for the Dash, and it's a project what they're going through
Yeah.
this year, and they've been missing out on a couple players here and there, but it took them a little bit to get into the group of things, and they've been
Yeah.
performing very well.
How
And
many
yeah,
games left for the ladies?
I believe they have five remaining. Yes, five remaining. They have three road games and two home games left.
Yeah,
And the next home
but
game is gonna be next week. So
for
if you
sure,
want
for
to check it
sure.
out, the Dash, cheapest sports ticket in the city, man. I highly encourage you checking it out if you haven't already. If for anyone watching or listening, um, and yeah, just root for the Dash. There are gonna be some massive games coming up. The last home game of the season is gonna be a few weeks away still, but it's gonna be against Kansas City Current, the team that just
Mm.
clinched the NWSL Shield. It's kind of like the support shield in MLS,
Yeah, I saw
but
that.
yeah,
I saw that
yeah.
trophy, man. It's a nice looking shield.
No, yeah, it's pretty good. We do have some sort of rivalry going on with Kansas City Current, kind of like what we did with Sporting KC.
Mm,
So it's gonna be a big game. So go to the last two home games for the Dash. Get those tickets right now. They're extremely cheap. It's a good experience, especially for the family. So check it
for
out.
sure. Support the ladies. Support the ladies.
Yep.
Andres, I guess if there's nothing else, I mean, let everybody know where they can find us.
Yeah, man. Of course. First of all, shout out to everyone that has been tuning out to our live stream on Foxtrot TV on YouTube every Thursday at 8 p.m. Shout out to Chick-fil-A Football Club, and I love the name. I don't know why, but shout out to that person and everyone that's been tuning in. We appreciate you. As always, make sure you are subscribed to our YouTube channel, liking our videos, leaving us some comments. It helps with the algorithm, and we appreciate the feedback as always. And wherever you're watching as well, we do have a channel on Goals TV, goals.tv/at Dynamic Foxtrot. It's a cool platform. If you haven't checked it out already, you also get to find other creators around the soccer space in North American soccer like we do. So check it out if you haven't already. And also wherever you are listening on your podcast platform, just look up Noodle Time. We're gonna be there. We're gonna be posting over content when it comes to Noodle Time, Dash Dispatch, Foxtrot Game Days, which we posted two episodes already this week. So for Dash and Dynamo. So check those out if you haven't already. Also on YouTube, so you can watch us on video form. And our weekly newsletter, Fox in the Box and Dash Dispatch, are available on Substack. We do have those links to all of our everything that we put out on social media and also on our YouTube channel, which is in the description of our profile. And of course, social media at Dynamic Foxtrot is going to be your handle for Instagram, Twitter, Blue Sky, and also Noodle Tiempo. We do have that separate handle on Twitter. Now it's called X. So make sure you're following those to stay tuned when it comes to everything Dynamo, Dash, and those related. Um, and yeah, and one more thing, obviously, with one more time, thank you guys for your continued support as always. And the giveaway coming up for the Albert Feliz bobblehead that I promised earlier, it's coming. I promise. It's not a joke. I'm gonna do it very soon. And the answer to the question is Rashid Olabiji. Rashid Olabiji. So stay tuned to the instructions. That's gonna be the password to the giveaway to win the Albert Feliz bobblehead. So you'll see the instructions on at Dynamic Foxtrot. So stay tuned.
Yeah, keep a lookout for that, guys. It's a mint condition Albert Elise bobblehead, never been open, still fully sealed, all that good stuff. So remembrance of our great Honduran uh, panterita
There you go.
from
It's inside
past.
this box.
There you go. Beautiful,
Inside
beautiful,
this box.
beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, well, with that being said, guys, obviously, like I said, like Andres mentioned
This
prior,
is mine, but there's one inside this box, but this is mine.
there you go.
Yes,
There you
sir.
go. Make it bubble. Like Andres mentioned, thank you for the support, guys. As always, we appreciate the love and support and all that good stuff. Guys, I think we're trying to make a end of the year push. Hopefully, the end of the year doesn't come sooner and it comes and it prolongs a little bit with a little bit of a playoff action. We'll see. Hopefully, depending on how the Dynamo go, but either Dynamo Dash or Dino Dos or whatever will be here. But we're trying to make a little late push to 350 subscribers. And if obviously we can make that happen, guys, we want to do a big giveaway for that as well. And if we're able to get to that, I will make sure that the giveaway is something very very juicy. But with that being said, guys, again, 3 games to go, 3 finals for the
Three
Dynamo.
finals.
Um, hopefully it can go our way, and hopefully next week we will be here talking something positive. But with that being said, regardless if we're up or down, we're always going to be holding it down for H-Town, baby. Let's go. Houston Dynamo forever orange. Let's go, baby.
Stay roll, y'all. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.